Welcome back, everybody, to Modern Nobility. And I just wanted to hop on to share some massive knowledge to you, something that you might not know of, because I've taken the time for myself to devour as much knowledge as possible, because I realized that that was the most cost-effective form to acquire wealth, by reading. And by surrounding yourselves with like-minded people who think at a higher pace, and also people who are smarter and wiser than you. And in return, I'm going to drop some nuggets to you. Take it how you perceive it, but you have to listen to this. This is massive, massive knowledge that most people are not thinking or considering in their daily activities. And what I want to mention here is this is something I've learned from just some of my mentors and people I surround myself with, in the books that I gotten a chance to read. In return, you'll be able to provide me information and knowledge that I did not know of before, and that's the flow of the kinetic energy that keeps moving the cycle. And how I want to go and play into this is about compound and leverage. Just the only way that you can create massive wealth and become rich and become a millionaire, right? The creed that I talk about, this is the part that I talk about the creed when I speak about the making of a genius, greatness, extraordinary, nobility, going into integrity, speaking about your uniqueness or being unique and successful, coming into that play and that mode, and allowing myself to be humble, to surround myself with people with greater minds than me, so I can devour that information and be able to relate it to you to a point that we all can communicate at the same frequency. So basically what I want to say is the understanding of leverage and compound, the only way that you can create a millionaire, modern day millionaires. And what I want to come into, I want to just talk real quick about the idea of modern nobility is a form to think back when there was medieval times, which I love medieval stories and history. So it allowed me to play off of that to say that the only time back then to create wealth, when you were of a lower class in the society, and there was lords and nobles and people who were kings and dukes and so many titles that you could never touch as a regular folk person. The only way that you could acquire that was to go into the military. And most people, what they did was, during the time, is that in getting into the army, they became knights. And that was the form of the modern nobility, thinking that modern people now of nobility, for them to raise up to become of knighthood, would to become a entrepreneur, come from the dirt, bootstrap themselves, and climb up and create titles and status for themselves, buy land, create fame and wealth, and so forth. And that was my understanding, and the terminology that I took about is about being a modern day knight. A modern day knighthoodship, and turning that into a person who can come from A all the way to Z and climb themselves up from, the poorest neighborhood. And no matter, that's the opportunity that people, and the reason why they come to America, and why the opportunities exist as an opportunist around the world. So I'm going to come back into the understanding of why that name got formed, so you can understand and relate with me. And then I want to talk about the leverage and compound. So the reason why people do not teach, the public school systems, I should say, do not teach you about compound and leverage, is because the private world, the riches, the people who hold the power of the world, the private world wants to keep the masses, the public system, to stay in the public eye, so that they can live and stay in the private. So what they do is they control the narrative of public schools and teach you to live a social life. And what happens is they're trying to keep you in there to have leverage and edge, so they can stay in the private lifestyle, enjoy the lifestyle that they have, to control the masses by keeping them to work. And what happens is you go into the school system to learn how to be a part of society and get a job, right? right? You're taught from a young age to go to college so you can become part of society, to keep running this beast, this machine, so that the private can stay private. And what happens is you're so caught up in life and this track, this machine that's being made, that you don't think of anything else. And as soon as you see someone around you, this is where it comes into that hate, negative kind of play. And I'm going to talk about the monkey banana theory. Is what happens with the stagnant, right? You're trying to elevate and climb out of this society, and you're becoming woke, and you're starting to realize the machine, the ugliness of this beast, that whatever your country's in, that you don't want to be a part of it, and you want to climb up. You want to become the modern nobility. You want to become the modern knight, and you want to rise up, become the entrepreneur, whoever it is, and create something for yourself out of nothing. And you want to live a better lifestyle instead of being put in the factory of the system that you live in. And essentially what happens is you do that, and the people around you are taught in this society to then keep you stagnant. And that's why it happens, is the monkey and banana effect, right? They teach you, this is a very, I'm not going to jump into much of the topic, but most people have heard of this story. It tends to be done and told and as a racial practice to teach black communities, or teach a crab in a barrel understanding to people of poverty, to keep them low. So that what would happen is essentially to play off of that monkey and a banana, is that scientists and doctors, they were teaching the monkey not to go up to the banana, not to climb up to it. So they were doing every way to stop him from get up there. And then once they put the next monkey in there, they did the same thing with him. By the time the third monkey basically came in, those two monkeys stopped the monkey from getting up there. And then they realized that you can then teach people to stay. So once you control two minds, you can control the masses. And that's what happens. So you go into the school system thinking that this is what you need to be taught to live a part of society. They don't want to teach you how to create money and wealth, because then it stops them from living where they live at. So that's the power of the compound and leverage, looking at both perspectives, both spectrums. And another thing that I want to say is, looking at that aspect, I want to talk about how people store money, right? I want to build your mind up. I want to open the veil. I want to help you see clear. I want you to be woke. So when you listen to how I talk about the books that I've read, the audiobooks that I listen to, the information, my experiences, my past traumas, whatever you might have heard about, I'm going to help you in any form of way. I'm going to motivate you and inspire you, and I'm going to uplift you. I'm going to embrace you. But I'm also going to try to teach you the understandings, how to open up your mind and see and be woke, and understand how to leverage and compound money so you can create a better lifestyle for yourself. So you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. If you still want to work a job, you can, but it would be so much nicer if you have some kind of cushion and understand how money works, right? So what most people are taught, and a lot of parents, you can probably see this from your parent and your grandparents, they teach you to come in, get a job, go to school, go through the system, go to a college degree, get in debt, and essentially to figure out how to make money in that field. Now, this is one of the things I look at the college system, is that it's one of the biggest scams that you can't, they can't basically renege on, right? You can't go in and say, hey, I went to school for 10 years to become a master of this apprentice, right? You're an apprentice and you're becoming a master of this class, learning from someone, and you go find a job 10 years later once you get your master's degree, or it could be a PhD. Now, PhDs hold more value, but in certain fields they don't. So let's say you go and get a master's degree and you get out into this field, the job is not guaranteed that you're going to get it, or you're going to make enough money to support you. So there was a large mass of people in America who had a master's degree that had to move back in with their family, which is devastating, right? You went out and you risked everything to essentially borrow cash from the government, which is what they're teaching you to do. They want you to be a part of the society so they can live in the private. So they lend out money to send you to education, get your education, so that you're in debt and you have to work back to pay it off. Then you go get a job and you become part of society, which what happens is, there's a lot of forums about this that I read over through history and where it happens at, that essentially America adopted a strategy that happened in Prussia. at the time that the people were trying to figure out how to get the Social Security thing to work and make people be motivated to go out and work. So what they did is they adopted that idea and put it in America, and then basically had people work for a certain amount of years to then collect their Social Security. But back then, you would die a lot younger than how we're living longer. So now that's why the Social Security range is now increased. And now you're not going to 62, you're not going to 65. People who are my age, people who are younger, people that might be a little bit older than me have to wait until probably 69 up to 72, which I don't want to wait to 72 to retire. You probably shouldn't either, right? So when you look at that aspect, that's what's happening. They're hoping that you die before you collect the money. They're hoping that you live longer than keep you working, have the factory keep moving, the machine. You are the robot. And it's hard when you're woke in that mind and you hear that. It allows you to pick up and say, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to be born and then here goes a number, and then hey, go to school and get on the conveyor belt and keep going down the line, and then you finally graduate and walk around and you have this diploma, this paper, and then it's like, okay, cool, now you're at like job fair day, and like now go find your destiny, whatever your path in life is, and then hop in the line and get a college degree, and then do that for 2, 4, 5, 6 years, and then come out and say, oh cool, now what do I do in life now? Oh well, go find a job now, and then now this is the next 40 years of your life. It just didn't seem as fulfilling for me that I didn't get a chance to choose my own path, that I had to be born into this. And if you're hearing this and listening to this, I hope this is waking you up in a way to think about it so that you can try to figure out how to make a more stable life for you, and you can become more part of that private, but not in a way where you want to eventually use the masses to keep the veil over them. Because anyone who's listening to this from the other aspect is, if you're a business owner, you don't want your employees to know this information so that they can stop being your employees. Otherwise, they can't live the lifestyle they can live without you. When you think about Amazon, Jeff Bezos can't live the lifestyle that he wants without the masses of people who work and run his company to then support and give a service to the masses that now need it. See, before, when you look at an aspect of that, think about it. You might be listening to this on your iPhone. You might be listening to this on your Android, and you're starting to think to yourself like, no one knew at the time that they really needed this phone, but those people, those great minds at the time, believed that you don't know what you want or need until I show you what you need. So that's basically what happened. No one knew they needed Amazon until he found that there was an issue in the market, that a demand and supply, there was a lack of supply there that needed to be fulfilled. And then he created it, and then now everyone depends on it. That's the whole part of the system keeping moving. So then people needed that job. People needed to keep the business growing. They had to go bigger. And then he could not do the things he's doing without the company running, and that he can live that lifestyle. That's the same system that's happening in your country, mostly probably in America. If you're from here, in other countries, that's happening, that you are the machine pumping the country running so that the small few people, the 1%ers, can live in the private. So I want to hop back in and talk about that. This is what happens when you hop in, you go to college and anything like that. In that level, you're becoming part of society. And the monkey effect is that you climb up and they're all taught to pull you back down. And now I'm going to talk about the banking system. This is another form of that system that's in play. They don't teach you coming into pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, from kindergarten to 12th grade, how to balance a checkbook, how to open a bank account, how to take your money and invest it, how to open up an IRA account, how to take that money and make investments to make a business, how to weigh out and balance and financially save, and then take that money of whatever savings you have, how to then structure yourself in life so that you're not living paycheck to paycheck, that you're not overspending, how to balance your life. They're not teaching you these fundamental things that you need because they need you to be dependent on them. They created a system that now you run it without you not knowing that you don't really need it. But at that point, now you depend on it because you're punched that ticket when you're born. And that's what's happening. So what happens is now you depend on them, and now you have to live paycheck to paycheck. So they don't want to teach you about finances. They don't want to teach you about compound leverage. They don't want to teach you that once you take your money and go after they handed it to you, right? It's this imaginary paper of your pay stub and this check that you get that then you hand off to whatever bank you choose, that they need to acquire a large mass of money to then take it and lend out to the public to make money off them, but they'll pay you pennies on the dollars that you put on there. So that shows you another insult to the wound, right? So that you now have this money that you've been saving 10, 20, 30,000, if you even have that at that point in your account, and they won't even loan you out money to then make an investment in yourself to create a business, because to them, that's not fundamental for them to create, right? They talk about, if you ever heard of this, that you need to be finding money producing activities and not doing things that you are not creating money. If your mindset is your greatest gift, then they want you to find someone to delegate tasks to someone so they can help you. That's why you find an assistant, right? And in those forms, sometimes we can't do the things we want to do without someone helping us. So someone has to give up their dream to make your dream happen. Unfortunately, that's the sad part about that story. But if you can find some way that you can make money by working on stocks or compound or anything in that way, you're making money off of the public that's already forced to work. So at that point, you're not hiring someone to then give up their life. The person on the other end is already given up their position in what they would really want to do in life, because society has already taken that narrative out. So now you can only have that one-sided choice. See, if we were given a choice to say, hey, you either get in the line after high school and you learn all your natural information that we want you to need, the masses pushes on you that, the private pushes on the masses that you should listen to. And then from there, you have the choice to say, hey, I'm going to give you $30,000 to go to college. I'm going to give you $30,000 to travel the world, or I'm going to give you $30,000 to invest in yourself. Which side would you choose? See, then if we had that choice, now it's a debatable topic. But no, the most choices, you either go to college or you go work at a job and you're just going to be broke for the rest of your life. That's just what they slap you in the face with. Well, thank you. Well, how am I supposed to make a decision on that? You get scared and you say, well, my parents tell me that I should go to college and I should do this. You should go to college because you chose to go to college. I went to college because I chose to go to college. I felt that it allowed me to build my character around people who were older than me, because there's a mixture of culture, a mixture of minds, multiple people that are around you demographically wise. And I love the experience of that. But if you're going to go, don't blow $100,000 on that experience. Maybe you want to just go to a community college and blow $10,000 a year. It just depends on how you look at limiting your assets, if you have any, and limiting your debt, right? So when I look at that, that's another part to come back into it. So let me hop back into it once again. They don't want you to know how to balance your checkbook, how to understand how money and compound works. So you go and give your money. You're depending on the banks now. Give your money to them. Now they won't give you any money to go and start a business, but they'll give you money to go find something that puts you in debt to make you pay back a high interest to them. Amazing, right? So last thing, I'm just going to hop in real quick. We're 16 minutes in, and essentially, or 18 minutes in. And basically what I want to say is, when you have money stagnant sitting in the bank account, it doesn't do anything. The kinetic energy, the flow of energy, think of it as if it is an extension cord. The cord doesn't have any power or juice running through it until you plug it into the wall. Now there's electric flowing through it. You now gave it a vessel, a portal for it to down distribute power to the other side of the room. So, right, what happens is that's what a bank account is, right? Think about it as an electric car, right? That's the new disruptive technology that's happening. I'm gonna drop some more nuggets. Look at any form. If you're looking in the stocks in the market, I'm not an expert, but if you do look at this, I research heavily so I can understand. If you understand, then you can have a better position on what you do with your money, because no one else is going to teach you. You have to go out there and teach it to yourself or learn from someone else. But first, do your research before you pay anybody. So that's my first advice for you. If you're looking in the market and you're trying to do stocks and crypto, look at anything that's going to disrupt the whole company. Like Uber, for example. Uber came out and disrupt all the taxis. So if you find any artificial pharmaceutical companies, any forms that is going to disrupt gas, any form that's a green company, hydro, electric, solar, anything like that, any AI technology, robotics, anything that can disrupt an industry will make you millions. So that's my token bit to you. So anyway, so hopping back into, as I was talking about compound and leverage, they don't want to teach you. They don't want to lend you money to go out, but they rather lend you money so you can be in debt. So just to drop that knowledge, the connection of energy. So think about an electric car. When you plug in the electric charger to the car that's sticking from the wall, when it's not plugged in, it's a dead active energy. Nothing's happening. No one can get electrocuted. When you plug it in at that point, there's still at that point now the electric is now being transmitted. Now those two cells are telling each other, okay, I need to know where it's going. That's what your brain is doing. It's telling you, okay, I need my arm to move left. I need my hand to move this way in this direction. Pick up the glass. Use or moving signals. And that's what's happening with the charger when you plug it into the car. Now it's locked in. Now it knows what it's supposed to do. That's what happens with the bank. If you go to your bank and you leave your money in there and it's stagnant, and you walk up, let's say you go to Wawa or you go to Dunkin' or wherever you decide to shop at, Starbucks, and you swipe your card, now you're using the transfer to let your money that was stagnant transfer to another location. But when you're doing that, that's a paycheck to paycheck. When you have only one transfer, one going in and nothing going out, and the only way that it's coming back in is if you're working, that's the paycheck to paycheck. What happens is what you need for money to do is once you then take that transporting of that extension cord, if you use that terminology and that metaphor, and take that and create a business in some way or invest in yourself some way, some things that I can tell you that would help you then have passive income. That's passive income. Once you figure out how to make the cycle of your money come out and come back in more than what you spend. So I'm going to help you drop knowledge because no one taught me this. I had to go figure it out. And I want you to listen so you can have that mindset to do this. If you're younger than me, if you're older than me, I'm just going to drop that knowledge for you. So coming into the aspect, some of the things that are shallow risk, if you understand what risk is, I'm not going to drop too much on it, but I'm just going to tell you for now, shallow risk are stock, crypto, gold, precious metals, real estate. There's so many different things that essentially what happens is if you buy it and it loses value, you don't lose the asset. You don't lose the property. You just have to wait for it to revalue, like climb back up in the market wherever it's at and grab more levitation, grab more wealth to whatever that product is, which if it's gold or silver, once it gets back to that point, you now have that valuation back. If you own 1 pound of gold, it's still 1 pound of gold, even if the valuation goes up or down, right? But 1 pound of gold is outrageous in price valuation. So you won't probably be able to own that amount. But let's say you owned an ounce of gold. At that point, whatever you bought it at, if it was $2,000 per ounce and the market dropped down to $1,700 per ounce, you still own an ounce of gold. Once it comes back up to $2,500 at whatever point it is, now the supply and demand happens. Now you have valuation, but you still own an asset. When you have some kind of risk factor, a risk factor is like playing the lottery, where you blow your money in one way and it's no guarantee that it can come back, even if you lose it in the value, which most people do in the stock market. They buy something, it goes down to value. At that point, it's just at a discount. You didn't lose your asset on that stock. If you bought 100 shares, it's still 100 shares. It's just worth the same amount of percentage. It's just at that point, it dropped down to $100 to $50 at 100 shares. You still have that asset. So when the person sells at that point, yeah, now you're out of money. Now that's a deep risk. Now a lottery ticket is a deep risk. When you look at things like that, a car, clothing, things like that, that's deep risk. So you want shallow risk items. You want your money moving in and out, creating passive income for you and create that second flow income if you are working. That's something that I've done for myself. I invest in the market. I check stock, crypto. I'm looking into real estate. There's a bunch of things that you can do, but I want to just at least provide you the information so it can help you open up that spiritual third eye for you. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'm about to drop more facts for you, drop some more knowledge for you, some more nuggets so that I can uplift you, embrace you, and hold you accountable for your actions. That's what we all need to do, and I look forward to dropping more information for you. Love hearing your comments, and go subscribe wherever you hear this at. Follow me. Just send me some love.